everybody. Welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. We're welcoming back a good friend of the program here to bring us updates and news on what we learned last time. Mark was all about critical minerals, and you really educated us on what NioCorp Development Limited brings to the table here. First and foremost, welcome back. Thanks for doing this.
So, Jody, it's always our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
So for those who maybe didn't see our previous First Glance in early July, there's been so much news since, and we'll get to that. But can you give sort of a lay of the land? What is NioCorp Development Limited?
Well, NioCorp Developments Limited is really the owner of a project called Elk Creek, and it's a critical minerals project in the state of Nebraska in the United States. And at that mine, once we are up and running, we will be producing 4 critical and strategic minerals. The first is niobium, the second is scandium, the third is titanium, and as our technical work continues to be developed, we may be adding rare earths to that list as well, the magnetic rare earths, which are absolutely critical for the EV momentum that we're all feeling and seeing these days. So these are 4 critical and strategic minerals to the United States. Just to put that in perspective in terms of why are they critical and strategic, 100% of the niobium that the United States uses today is imported. 100% of the scandium that we use today in the US is imported. 100% of the rare earth oxides that we import or that we use today is imported. And about 91 or 92% of the titanium concentrates are also imported in the United States. We absolutely have to have these 4 critical strategic minerals. They're enablers of our green economy. And I've got to say, I've only got 42 years in the industry, but this is the biggest, largest, I think, sustainable momentum for the green economy that I've ever witnessed. So we've got to get going.
Again, we're with Mark Smith, the president and CEO of NioCorp Development Limited. And Mark, you mentioned the United States. We're talking to you from Canada. And certainly if there's one thing we've learned over these last 7-8 months in particular, with what we've seen unfold with the war in Ukraine, but also the issues with trade with China and some of the tensions on the global scale. Let's just call it what it is. We've learned the lesson of the importance of having access to materials that are needed for any level of economy. Certainly in what we've acknowledged as a climate emergency, the green economy is, ultra urgent. So when you're talking about 100% import, where is North America getting these minerals and this rare earth from now?
Right now, niobium, there is a small amount that is produced in the country, our friend to the north, Canada. So we're very happy about that.
Cool.
And the remainder of the niobium in the world is produced in Brazil. So there's only 3 operating mines that produce niobium today. One small one in Canada, 2 larger ones in Brazil. Scandium comes from about 5 different sources around the world: Kazakhstan, China, Russia, Philippines, and Estonia, I believe. And that's, those are considered politically sensitive areas where the environmental standards probably aren't what we have to meet here in North America, the US and Canada. So, as we purchase and use those, how much damage to the earth are we causing because they don't have the same environmental standards that we do? So, niobium, scandium, politically sensitive areas. Titanium is a little bit more of a worldwide commodity. However, a very large part of that comes out of Russia. I will say no more. In terms of the rare earth oxides, the vast majority of that is produced in China. As we all know, there's a little bit produced in Malaysia, a little bit produced in Estonia. So that's good. But they're all 3, politically sensitive areas.
Yeah.
With sometimes friendly, sometimes not. And again, the environmental standards may not be quite up to speed with what Canada and the US does. So the whole point of this project is we need these minerals to be enablers of the green economy. and we should be producing them in environmentally sound and politically sound jurisdictions. That's our whole mantra, and that's our why. That's why we're here.
It's a really fascinating story and an important one. When you reference, the need is one thing, but needing these minerals, needing these pieces of the green economy puzzle, if as you say, if we're leaning in on extraction in places that are causing equal or even in some instances greater damage than what would be offset by utilizing in a green economy, investors are more and more savvy to this, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Mark. This is one of those instances where if somebody's really looking at their portfolio and wondering, how do I move toward investing ethically in this, knowing that this is such a huge growth lane moving forward, it must be. I mean, with the number of electric vehicles, the back order on it, so much discussion around the need to go green and electrify. NioCorp certainly very well positioned in that regard to check many boxes for the investor.
We couldn't agree more. And let me comment for a moment on how we've even taken our company to a whole different level in terms of ESG, because I'm out, literally fundraising and trying to finance this project every day. And the first question we get from every investor concerns ESG. What are we doing for the environment? What are we doing for governance? What are we doing for sustainability? And we have multiple projects that are part of our project to make the world a better place by the time we're done. And we've also adopted, although almost our entire management team comes from a health, safety, and environmental background. So a lot of these things come very naturally to us, but we decided to take it to another level in terms of ESG. And we now have adopted the Equator Principles. And the Equator Principles is a systematic written program that you adhere to that just really, it's auditable. People can come in and actually ensure that we're walking the talk. We're not just talking the talk. And that's what we really stand for culturally in our company. We walk the talk. So we are really dedicated to the ESG, principles in their entirety, and we're doing it through the Equator Principles, which is an auditable ESG program.
You had me at transparency there. Honestly, Mark, it's rare. It's rare, like rare earth, rare minerals. Having the ability as a corporate entity to say, "Hey, you want to check? Come on look. Come on in and have a look. See, you got nothing to hide. That makes security much lower." Let's talk specifics here when it comes to, for example, like California banning the sale of new internal combustion engine cars. The targets, right? 2035. There was a time where 2035 sounded like some long shot, far in the distant date, but as we're staring down 2023. It feels close. So the demand for what NioCorp is all about is going to only increase.
Absolutely. And that legislation that has passed in California is also likely going to be passed in the state of Virginia. And that will create two states now rather than just one. And California is really a good one to talk about. I grew up, to a large extent in California, so I know how important automobiles are to people in California. We have to have a car to drive down the block. So it's critically important. The sales of these cars are very, very high in California. And if you don't allow the sale of any new vehicle other than electric vehicles starting in 2035, that creates a huge demand for electric vehicles, and the manufacturers of those vehicles are going to have to find ways to make sure that they can fill that market. That means just demand pull is what it means. We need to make sure that the minerals that we need to make those cars are available. So magnetic rare earths are going to be absolutely critical to the EV revolution that's happening right now. Niobium could be hugely important, not only to reduce the weight of the electric vehicle, which makes the battery last longer and you can drive farther. Niobium is also being used in lithium-ion batteries right now. to further extend the range of those batteries and shorten the charge time, because
Right.
that's what we've all been worried about, right? We're used to going into the gas station, 5-6 minutes, you're out. Well, these new niobium lithium ion solid state batteries, they are going to be in that less than 10-minute category for
Really?
and this is the holy grail of EVs. So this
Yeah.
technology is developing, it's there, but we have to have the minerals to support it.
Interesting. As somebody, I own a Prius Prime, so I have a plug-in hybrid, and
Yes.
I've long had the hybrid without the electric piece of the puzzle. So I had that gas mileage positivity, if you will, with that
Yes.
battery that would charge while driving it. But since moving to a plug-in vehicle, it's almost like a competition with myself. How long can I go without going to a gas station, right? And for me, a big piece of that is how long will it take me to charge my car? And you're speaking to your consumer right here.
Yeah.
If the sell is we've got the holy grail and we're going to make it so that you can charge up, and I can only go 50 kilometers on my charge, but I have a gas tank to back it up. So I'll take that 50 kilometers an hour on pennies on the dollar. But if there was a way to make it so if I had the turnaround time to just plug in wherever I am on my journey, charge up and continue for another 50, I mean, now, take my money, please.
Exactly. And I think that alone will create even more demand for the electric vehicle, because us guys like me that are old, we look at these new cars and we're afraid because when a battery runs out, a battery runs out.
Right.
So it scares me. But now that we're getting into this new technology where the length that you can drive is extended and the charge time is short, and the infrastructure to charge cars is really building quite rapidly right now. So we are in a transitional environment with vehicles right now. I think it's really exciting.
I agree with you. I think it is exciting. And I was tentative as well in early days. But boy, I tell you what, like the convert in me, the conversion is complete.
Yeah.
I've tasted the savings, frankly, when I had the opportunity to purchase a new vehicle. And I could have bought, a high-end combustible engine vehicle. I could have gotten my dream car finally at that moment in my life. And I did all of my due diligence, and it all came back to gas mileage, and my plug-in pays for itself.
Sure.
It's crazy good. And I think that's something that the consumer who is holding on tightly to their gas powered engine because of the convenience piece might soon be tracking companies like NioCorp Development Limited. I want to make sure that everybody knows Nio is NB on the TSX. NB. N is in Nancy, B is in Barry. We're with the president and CEO, Mark Smith, headquartered in Centennial, Colorado. And we've talked a lot about Elk Creek here. So if somebody wants more details, like specific details on what is happening at Elk Creek and what the investor deck looks like, where are we going?
I would suggest they go to www.niocorp.com. And what they will find there, and this is something we're very proud of as well, and it goes back to the issue of transparency, is that there is very, very little that is not posted on that website concerning our company. I mean, we've tried to be just as transparent as possible. And we're proud of that. So please go there. There are contact information within the website as well. So you can contact human people and get answers.
Actual humans?
Yeah, we actually still believe in that. So we encourage that, actually. We love to talk to investors. We love to talk to our shareholders. And we're not afraid to answer any question that's asked. And it's all about transparency and honesty. That's what keeps, that's sustainability, I think.
I think you're right. And how refreshing in our current, state of political spin. It is very refreshing to have a corporation that is prepared to show exactly what they're doing, talk about the plan, and show the results. And I think for First Glance with Jody Vance, viewers and listeners, that is currency in the bag. NB is the stock symbol, NioCorp Development Limited, and we are with the CEO, Mark Smith. Always good to talk with you, Mark. Look forward to our next visit.
Thank you, Jody. So do I. Been fun.